This is Hakdama l'Sefer Shaarei Yosher by Rabbi. What?
From last week, I think they're
right, and we're using this as because there's some interesting ideas. We're using this as a springboard for anything that comes up. I'm not against tangents and so forth, but one of the things that is, I think, very worthwhile here is the fact that the way the thought is developed is really through questioning, in the sense that what you have is ideas and questions upon those ideas. What could it possibly mean, and so forth. And it really indicates that so much of Torah is the outgrowth of the interaction of the human mind with the Torah information. Okay, Torah is not monolithic. Torah is specifically given in a manner that opens up, that demands human involvement in order to open up the vistas of what's happening. Now, what happens with that idea is that what you understand is that the world is a complex place of swirling values, and so much of our life decisions are trying to determine what value should have priority. And in many cases, what you deal with is the value that should have priority, and the different viewpoints on this and so forth. In the whole story with Yosef and the brothers, the point is that there are so many different values in play, so many different considerations in play, and the question is, which one should really take on the priority? Which one should be the final decision maker? And you're left with a lot of different perspectives and a lot of different ideas and so forth. So the fact is that it's not so much that in certain ways there are places where you have a broad halachic spectrum, and there's places where you have a narrow halachic spectrum. But even in places where you have a narrow halachic spectrum, there's a tremendous breadth of ideas behind it. Okay, and it was the conclusion. It's not simply here's the law, it's black and white. It's the fact that there's such a multitude of thoughts and ideas behind the scenes, even though you come up to a simplistic conclusion. It reminds me of a case when I was taking accounting. You know, you have a thing with accounting, and you have all this analysis, so forth, and you're off by 1 cent. So what does that mean? So you think, okay, so you copied one of the figures wrong. Put or somehow you're off by 1 cent, and what you find out is really you're off in 42 different places by millions of dollars. It just so happens that all the different places which you've been off are all compensated for each other, so that the only thing you're left with is this conclusion of being off by 1%. In many ways, that's almost the way halakha works. There are a tremendous amount of issues. Okay, so even if you come to a sort of set conclusion, the set conclusion is not so black and white. It really may reflect a lot of depth and development. Anyways, so what I wanted to do is I wanted to take the Hakdama to Shaarei Yosher, and deal with it. And he opens up with this idea of kedusha. Okay, and he says, first of all, you're supposed to follow in halacha b'drachav, and we talked about this last week. What does it mean to follow in God's ways? And the fact is what we defined is a recognition that HaKadosh Baruch Hu is in a totally different dimension than us. But can I use that word sort of because it's a word that's sometimes thrown around? But the fact is you have to understand that the spiritual realm of HaKadosh Baruch Hu is something that is absolutely incomprehensible from our perspective, because we have certain criteria for how we understand the world. We have certain ways of dealing with the world, in terms of our rationalism, in terms of our physicality, in terms of understanding things. We don't really understand timelessness. Okay? So the fact is that in many ways, HaKadosh Baruch Hu is totally not understandable by us. Okay, so the fact is that he raises the issue like this. So what does that mean in terms of God being Kodesh? Okay, because he says Kadoshim to you, we're told to be Kodesh, because I am Kodesh. What does that mean? Okay, it seems to imply that in this realm there is some type of similarity between the Kedusha of HaKadosh Baruch Hu and the Kedusha that we have in terms of this term, Kedusha, because it's being applied to HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Okay, now, he says though that there's a statement in the Medrash that says, the statement of God, I think it says that there's another statement that says, when it says really Yachol Kamoni, because I am Kodesh, really like me, right? Kodesh Ani, because I'm holy. He says, really, in a certain way, my Kedusha, Kadosh Baruch Hu's Kedusha, has to be above the Kedusha of the world, of everyone else. Therefore, there has to be an inherent distinction between the Kedusha of Kadosh Baruch Hu and the Kedusha of human beings. Okay, so the point is what does that mean? Okay, so what he says is that if we understand Kedusha in terms that are only applicable to human beings, we can't understand that term to be applied to Kodesh Baruch Hu. So he says, take the word Prisha. The Ramban says that Kedusha means that you separate from things that you have a drive for. There's an idea of Prisha, that you separate from things that you have a desire for. Okay, so it's Kadoshat Mechav Mutalach. You want to be holy in things that you are permitted in, so therefore you control your drives. And Rosh Hashanah says that definition has an inherent problem because it's totally inapplicable to Kodesh Baruch Hu. So Kodesh Baruch Hu doesn't have any drives. Doesn't have any drives. So how can you say Kedusha is separating from drives when, if you say that there's some kind of connection between Kedusha, my Kedusha, and Kodesh Baruch Hu's Kedusha, then the term is inapplicable. Okay, because God doesn't have drives. So therefore he's left with this issue, okay, and it's the end of the second page. He says, okay, and I'll just read the last line here. If you say the essence of Kedusha, if you say that the essence of Kedusha is to separate from that which you are permitted in, to limit your drives and so forth, has absolutely no application to Kodesh Baruch Hu. So how could that be some connection to God? So how can that term be connected to God? And yet we're told that we're supposed to be holy like God is holy. So he's left with this situation that the Ramban says it, but it doesn't make sense, because we're talking about some aspect of comparison. It's like saying God's stronger than me, right? He can
lift more weight than me.
He lifts more weight than me, right? It's totally inapplicable. It's like, God's stronger means he lifts more weight than any human being. It doesn't make any sense because he doesn't lift weights. Okay, so that's where he's going on. So let's go on from there. Right. But not even. Okay. So now he's going to go on from there, and we'll take it from there. Okay. L'chein nireh. Okay. So, and by the way, this is intended to spark issues. Okay. Last time we got into issues of God being distinct and being undefined by our own perception, by human definitions. Okay?
What? More people are just shit down.
Okay. 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 Therefore, it seems to me, according to my thinking, it says that this mitzvah really talks about, it's really going to deal with the purpose of our lives. It That basically all our good, all our efforts have to be for the benefit of the community. Okay? Okay? Now, why is he saying this? What did we talk about last week in terms of HaKadosh Baruch Hu? Is we said that his definition is a Tov HaMeitiv, the good and the giver of good. And he says one of the reasons God created the world didn't have any personal interest. He basically created the good in order to give. Right? So therefore, he's now starting with, okay, let's start talking from this perspective. If God's only, let's say, don't want to use the word drive or desire or involvement with humanity. If the way we understand God in terms of his relationship to humanity is the good and the giver of the good, he wishes to be mated, he wishes to give to others, then we have to start with this understanding that our total idea, our total service has to be for the benefit of others. Okay? Shalom mishtamish b'shum ma'isa utnua. Okay? We don't get involved in anything. Hana v'tanug shaloye v'zeh eza inyan l'tovas zulatenu. That really we wish that anything we do basically has some benefit to others. Okay? And if you look at the English over here, we should not use any act, movement, or get benefit or enjoyment that doesn't have in it some element of helping another. It's a very powerful statement. Okay? He's basically saying that if there's a connection to godliness in the human being, it has to be that in anything he does, there has to be an element of caring for others. And it says this is the holiness, is to be involved in this purpose. And therefore, a person who's striving for Kedusha has to understand that some aspect of what he does should always be with consideration of others. As kol masha osa gam la'atzmo, everything he does, even for himself, lavraz gufo v'nafsho, for the benefit of his body and his soul, hu midyachas gam kain el mitzvahs Kedusha. This is going to be connected to Kedusha. Okay? Shal yidei zeh yativ kam l'rabim. That there has to be an aspect of benefit to others. Shebetovaso la'atzmo hu meitiv im harabim hasreichemo. That what's beneficial to him has some element of being beneficial to others. Aval im hu nene hadna mina suva motoros. But even if he benefits from we're over here. Okay. But you just catch up. It's good. But if you benefit, okay, even from that which is mutter, she'einen droshas labros gufa b'nafsho, but it's not intended to really benefit your body and soul. Hanazuhu neged hakadusha, that type of pleasure is connected to kedusha. Pezehu metiv la'atzmo l'regel lefi dimyoto. He's only benefiting for himself for the moment. V'zulato ein shum toelos, and outside of that, and to no one else, there's any benefit. Now, let's understand what he's saying here. It's a very powerful statement if you think about it. He says, when you do something that is beneficial to your body and soul, that is good for you, what's the benefit to others if it actually is going to make you healthy? If it's a benefit to others, if it's actually going to make you actually bring you a benefit to your psyche and so forth and so forth. Because others are involved in your life, because you help others, because you're involved with others, there's going to be a benefit. So the point is that when you take care of your health, your loved ones are happy that you're healthy. Right? And that's psychologically healthy, physically healthy, and so forth and so forth. But if you do something that is just simply for a momentary pleasure, okay, which is what he's saying by kashas b'chomotelach, you should be holy in what is good for you, in what is permitted to you. If it's only for you to get that pleasure, then basically it is totally self-contained. And that's not Kedusha. So now, what Shimon Shofshkov has done over here is he started off with this definition. Now, he's developing this idea that Kedusha has something to do with a Kodesh Baruch Hu. And a Kodesh Baruch Hu is a Tova Mated. So for Kedusha must have something to do with him. Okay, so therefore, and the one defining aspect of Kodesh Baruch Hu is that he gives. So therefore, he's trying to say that to bring holiness into your life, you have to do things that are giving. But the fact is there are certain things where you actually give to others directly, and there's certain things which you're giving to yourself. But the truth is, in giving to yourself, there's also consideration of others, because others care that you're healthy. You know that if you're healthy, you can help others, right? So the fact is you're not just being totally self-centered, okay, and just trying to get that pleasure. That pleasure has to be connected to some aspect of it. So now he's developing this idea of Kedusha. Kedusha is a consideration of others in what you do. Okay? That's what he's developing right now. Comments? Okay. So the point is that he's doing that now. Now, the thing is that what I want to point out is that he's come to this idea through his wealth of Torah knowledge, but his idea, okay, and that's a lot of Torah, okay. A lot of Torah comes from thinking, okay, and speculation and ideas, okay. And when you hear a chiddush, okay, it's like, where do you get it from? And like I said many times, some people challenge Moshe Feinstein some of his halachas, and people say, where do you get this source from? And he used to answer, Svara Barura, the clear-cut idea, right? In other words, it's the logical conclusion of these ideas. Okay? So he's introducing this idea. He's also integrating the fact that even in what you do for yourself, there's going to have to be some consideration of others in the broader spectrum of things. Okay, there is a benefit when you take care of your own health, in the sense that people who care about you want you to be healthy. You have to be healthy in order to help others. Okay, so the point is that he's now going to. Now this is going to be significant because he's going to get back to this in terms of the human being doing things for himself, right? But it has to have some aspect of caring for others. Yeah.
If there's certain mitzvahs which are very personal, like taking the lulav, let's say. I don't think anyone else benefits when you take the lulav, but if someone gets pleasure, they just enjoy doing the mitzvah. That's self-gratification. But there's still an act of holiness, even though no one else benefits, right?
Well, that's an interesting question. The fact is, how do you find kedusha there? The point is, it's an interesting question. The point is that you could say there's a benefit because in every mitzvah you do, there's an aspect of schus to the Rabbi. That there's a benefit from doing the mitzvah that applies to Klal Yisrael, right? Because the fact is that we are not individuals just doing mitzvot. We are, Kol Yisrael Raven Zelazeh. Right. So in our performance of mitzvahs, we might be benefiting others. There's also a difference in the sense that when you're commanded from a Kodesh Baruch Hu to do the mitzvah, it's one thing. God says, do this mitzvah. So you're saying, listen, it's an interesting aspect of what you're raising because of our understanding of mitzvot. Is an individual individually commanded in the mitzvah, or the mitzvot commanded to the nation, and you are commanded as a member of the nation? So the truth is that
what's the difference to the outcome?
Well, the fact is that our connection to God goes through the nation. Okay, it's a natural connection. In other words,
so is it usher to live in a community without any Jews for the rest of your life and just practice on your own?
There's a difficulty. I mean, the fact is, you read about this in terms of. I mean, it's hard to say usher because because when you say usher, what is the reason you're in this situation?
Right.
But the fact is that tifresh mitzibur, don't separate yourself from the community, right? The fact is that there's an aspect of being part of the community. But you're raising. You're raising an issue in terms of the relationship the individual Jew has with the Kadosh Baruch Hu.
Right.
Is it like, the classic terminology in the world is a personal relationship with God. We don't have personal relationship with God. We have a national relationship with God. Now, when I say we have personal relationship with God, yes, but the fact is that it's really a relationship with Klal Yisrael. Kadosh Baruch Hu relates to the nation. Okay, we as a nation accept the Torah Sinai. The fact of the matter is that relationship is to the nation, and therefore there's an aspect of the Klal. And one aspect of that Klal is that we are all part of that collective, and therefore what happens to the collective applies to all of us individually as well. So the point is that the idea of taking a lulav and esrog is you're fulfilling your mitzvah to take a lulav and esrog. So you're taking it. But the fact of the matter is as you take the lulav and esrog, you are also taking it as a Jew. Okay, and you are also taking a position. You're also connecting with Klal Yisrael through it as well.
Right.
So there's that aspect as well. It's interesting that you bring that up, because
like making a bracha or something, or doing something like...
The fact is you can do that with any mitzvah. I mean, the point is that, I mean, with a bracha you clearly are seeing beyond the personal to the fact that you recognize where the bracha comes from.
But how's that the klal?
But the klal, because there's a chiyuv of brachos. I mean, the fact is he's talking about your drives here.
Right. Okay,
he's talking about just basically your drives and doing things. He's talking about the guf and the nefesh in terms of your drives to do things.
Right.
But the point is,
what if you have your drives again? So he's saying for the good of people. What if? But again, what? So I guess someone who's secular would say, well, sometimes religion doesn't factor in the good of the person, and
he's talking right now. This is why it's interesting you brought up the question of mitzvah, because the fact is what he's talking about are your drives. You want to eat. Okay, it's not just for yourself. You should also recognize the broader repercussions of your eating. And if you're just eating for that pleasure right now, that's what it means. You know, the glutton, in terms of the classic example from the Ramban, the glutton just wants that pleasure of that taste. He's not being healthy. He's not going to be a better, citizen. He's not going to be anything like that. The fact is he's raising the idea that your consciousness of the greater whole, which is a consciousness that also applies in terms of doing mitzvahs. And when I'm thinking in terms of, there's a whole thing about giving gifts. Okay, that there's a Gemara in Kedushin that says that an Adam Chashuv can marry a woman by receiving a gift from her.
Right.
What's an Adam Chashuv?
An important individual. Mm-hmm. Okay, why? Because we have a concept of sonam matanas yichya. A person who doesn't like gifts will live. Okay, now basically what it means is don't try and get everything for nothing and so forth and so forth, right? It doesn't mean never be a gift taker. Okay, sonam matanas yichya, the one who hates gifts should live. But the point is that that can be read to say you should never take a gift.
Right.
It's not read that way. Why not? Because the fact is that it's understood that there is a necessity in taking gifts. Someone wants to give you a gift, it actually can be the fact that the person is trying to develop a relationship. He's trying to acknowledge something and so forth and so forth. So the truth is that there are situations where it's really proper to take a gift. Okay? You're not supposed to just take anything, but the fact is that in certain situations it's proper to take a gift because the person is trying to foster something by giving you a gift. Now the fact is there's interesting halachas because of that. Okay? One is that when you give someone a gift, it's usher to give it anonymously. You know how you talk in terms of tzedakah, right? It's better to give tzedakah anonymously. There's actually situations where it's actually wrong to give something anonymously. I might have mentioned this before in the show, but there's a person in the States who used to send in donations to the organization, to Nishma in the States, and send it in anonymously. And a person, because she gives tzedakah anonymously. You don't understand that. That's when you give tzedakah to an ani who you don't want to embarrass. But in terms of giving tzedakah to a Torah organization, You want to give it non-anonymously, unless you have other reasons, because you want to say, I'm a supporter, and the world should know that I'm a supporter. So a person who sits there and says, I gave this donation, it says, I'm behind this organization. That's different. So the same thing with actually giving gifts. Why is it also to give a gift anonymously? Because what's the point of the gift? The point of the gift is to foster the emotions that are derived from the gift. So you give someone a gift and you don't let it be known that you're giving a gift. What point did you do? What, it's just about the gift? No, it should be about the fact that I care about you. Right? I want to be your friend. Right?
There are
we can always.
If you're giving to a big organization, you should.
Yeah, I'm trying to talk in broad. But the fact is that in terms of, I understand that there's always other considerations. But the fact is, when you give a gift to a friend, what you're saying is that I am caring.
Yeah.
Right. Okay.
It's more about the act, right?
It's about the relationship.
Yeah.
So the point is.
What? Oh.
Keep going. No.
Okay, so the fact is that so that's a very important idea. So the truth is that that's why they say that if an important person generally doesn't take gifts. So if an important person receives a gift from you, it's like he's giving you back something. He's acknowledging the fact that he's taking the gift. He's acknowledging your friendship. He's acknowledging your caring. He's acknowledging these things, so forth and so forth.
That's interesting.
And the fact is that there's a certain point, if an Adam Chashuv takes a gift from you, you would actually pay someone. If you knew someone could convince an Adam Chashuv to take a gift for you, right, in order to acknowledge you and so forth and so forth, you would actually pay for a person to get this message across to this important person. So that's where you get into this issue of why a woman could possibly be married by giving something to an important person, because that individual receiving a gift from this woman has value to this woman. So she's not marrying with the gift; she's marrying with the value of this person taking the gift. Okay, so the point is that these are all the aspects of interaction of human beings. So you have to have a broader perspective. So this is the broader perspective in terms of understanding your place with others, and it also ties to mitzvot as well. That there's a broader perspective in everything we do. We are involved in considering others. Okay, now. Watch what he does now. Okay? Now, while Pi derech zeh, inyan mitzvah shel precious who tamsis misod mitzvahs kedusha. Now we understand why precious, separating yourself from desires, even though it's permitted to you, okay, has connected to kedusha. Hani cares before b'darchol hanhaga shel adam. Okay? It's part of how a person, it should be a recognized practice in a person, it says. Okay? Now, Zu gam al kol pa'alav u'masav shalom gam beino lebein hamakom. This also applies to everything the person does, even between him and the Kodesh Baruch Hu. B'yachaseh midame inyan kedusha zu, the kedusha sabore, and in a certain way, this is a comparison of the kedushas of the Kodesh Baruch Hu and the kedushas of the human being. Be'ezit dimin sad, even in a little bit of a comparison. Shekemo shu ma'aseh shel Kodesh Baruch Hu ba'baras kula, just like in the creation of reality from a Kodesh Baruch Hu. Okay, he did this solely for the benefit of humanity, right? Came to chol rega v'rega shehu makayim et ha'olam. Same way in every day that leaves the world in existence, it's for the benefit of his creation. Kol masav hein mukdashim l'tovas ulaso. Everything that he does is for the benefit of others, namely his creation, namely human beings. Kein ritzoni yisbarach shiyam ma'aseno tamid mukdashim l'tovas haklal. Lo v'hanas asmo. He's basically saying this is the way a God is. Everything is for the benefit of others and not for the benefit of us. And this is the Kedusha that we're supposed to have. Okay? This is the essence of our Kedusha. Now, there's one little problem though. Okay? Okay? What's the little problem?
It's still interpersonal. It's still interpersonal.
We still benefit.
What?
We still benefit.
We still benefit.
Right.
Right? There's an aspect that we do things for our own benefit.
Right.
Right? Amna.
But who says that Hashem doesn't benefit?
That's basically the basic assumption. Tova meitit, that he is good, giver good, that he doesn't do anything for his own benefit. Okay, now that's so his creation. I mean, the only exception is that he has a desire to benefit others. So that becomes an issue, that he has a desire to benefit others, but he has no need. Therefore, there's no necessary benefit to him. Okay, but he's going to get into this other problem. Okay, and the problem is we still benefit. It's a little bit different here. He's going to take this a little bit further. Okay? Amnam, im yomer ha'adam la'achniyas tova la'gia l'mida yisera. Okay, he's going to take this a little bit further. Okay, because we still benefit from others, right? Yes. So let me first point out something to you before I go on. How do you understand the statement "V'ahavta l'reacha kamocha"? What does that statement mean?
Love thy neighbor as thyself.
Yeah, what does that statement mean?
What does that mean?
Love your fellow other person the same way you.
Anything you want for yourself, you should want for someone else.
You defined it differently.
Yeah.
You've already made a certain amount. You're saying that anything you want for yourself, you should want for another person.
Although that could
Okay.
be very negative.
No. That could be that. There's a certain subtlety in the way that you said that. Okay. I go out and I buy myself a
Suit.
A suit, right? Now, why? Because beneficial to me, and I want to buy myself something. So, based upon that, I'm supposed to love myself as like everyone else. I should go out and buy everyone a suit, right? Correct?
Could be.
Okay.
A little hippy dippy.
Now, yeah, it's a lot hippy-dippy. But the fact is that's why your answer is very interesting. It's basically the Marshal's perception that the same way you want benefit for yourself, you should respect the desire of others to wish to benefit themselves. Right?
Is this
so the same way.
For you, or is the you a general like amcha?
No, it's you. V'ahavta l'reacha kamocha. Now, the truth of the matter is there's a tremendous problem in the term. V'ahavta l'reacha kamocha. Why is the lamed there? V'ahavta et reacha kamocha. Should love et, another. Why l'reacha? So the Marsha develops the idea in the same way you should be respectful of your own desires, you should respect another person's desires. So the same way I want a suit for myself, I should recognize other human beings also want suits. But that doesn't mean I have to buy them the suit. Okay? Now, there's another interesting play on this whole thing about the Recha Kamocha. Love your neighbor as yourself. The fact of the matter is, and the Meforshim point this out.
It's okay to be rich?
It's okay to be rich, yeah, I guess so, but that's not really what comes out. There's another interesting aspect. Is it really possible? Can you really love someone like you love yourself?
It's the whole live and let live.
Is that the whole marriage thing?
No, that's not live and let live.
It's not the whole marriage thing?
Live and let live is something a little bit different. Like that's the same way I want. That's more like the same way I want to take care of myself. I understand the person wants to take care of himself. Doesn't mean I have to actively take care of them.
Yeah.
Okay. I mean, Ahavta kamocha on the surface, the simple way, love your neighbor as yourself. I want a suit. I should buy the other guy a suit. The point is that there's another little problem with it. The other problem with it is, the fact is that can you really do this? Is it possible to really care for another as you care for yourself?
Not
okay?
really.
That's the problem. The fact of the matter is people, first of all, also point out something else. The reason, kamocha, love your neighbor as yourself, what does it mean that you're using yourself as the yardstick? What does that mean?
Subjective.
it's also further. What's the value of that yardstick?
Your own value.
The fact is how you care for yourself is the yardstick.
Right.
I don't say,
You care for
hey,
yourself too.
and not only that, but if I say love your neighbor as yourself, it sort of says, listen, this is the yardstick. This is the most you can have, love of self.
Equality.
So you should try and bring your caring for others up to this level. And then there's other issues there. But there's an idea that it should be caring for yourself, and you should have caring for yourself. So there's an idea that there's an expectation that you should be caring for yourself.
Yes.
And the fact is that's an assumption.
Wait, why is that a problem?
That's going to be the issue that Shimon Schwab is going to get into now.
So Rabbi's saying that the more you care about yourself, the higher you're raising that yardstick, and the greater you can give unto others.
Okay. The fact of the matter is watch the way he develops this.
Okay.
He's actually developing into a very expansive idea of how you should see yourself. You'll see how he develops this idea. But the fact is that in opening up this idea now, he's developed the idea that Kedusha has something to do with caring for others and benefiting others. Okay, because Kodesh Baruch Hu has no self-interest. Okay, in his drives. But the fact of the matter is with our drives, okay, our drives have a factor involved, which is our caring for ourselves. And even as we do that, we set standards based upon that idea of caring for ourselves and caring as extensions for yourselves. Now, let me take this another way, in terms of the mitzvah tzedakah, in terms of charity. Okay? Tzedakah begins with, who's your first obligation in tzedakah?
Family. Yourself.
Family. Well, yourself, but yourself. Family. Family is the first obligation in tzedakah. Right? The fact of the matter is that in Christian thought, okay, that's not considered charity. Or it's a limited form of charity. Why? Because you have a self-interest. Real charity is you give to someone who you don't know. That shows how selfless you're being. Right? When you give tzedakah to your kids, or help out your kids, help out your family, it's an extension of your caring for yourself. Because the point is that there is a feeling of caring, and that's what the halacha says is the starting point of tzedakah. So the point is that there's an idea that this idea of caring for yourself has a value.
Well, if you don't care for yourself, there'll be nobody there to care for others.
Absolutely, which is what he already got to beforehand when he talks about your own health. The way I understood his own health.
Christians become like so completely selfless, but that's a whole other topic in itself.
Okay, let's not go. But the point is,
Jesus was so into this union of love thy neighbor as thyself. They kind of misinterpreted it.
Well, the fact is, though, is that he's now going to develop an idea that says, wait a second, I developed an idea that says that the way you have Kedusha from HaKadosh Baruch Hu is with the idea that you actually care for others, and you include a consciousness of others in what you do. Okay, there's a perception of the bigger picture, which he's going to further develop.
So is that a challenge to?
No, so let's see that. So now he says, but wait a second. Okay, let's step back a second, and he's going to say, he says, but wait a second. If you're saying that a person should bring his nature, submerge his nature to this level, in other words, Kadosh Baruch Hu has no personal self-interest. There's no benefit to God. So yeah, you learn that God gave to others, we should include that, but he says, wait a second. But if you're using God as the model, which is totally caring for others, okay, he says, wait a second. That's contrary to the human nature.
Right.
Because human beings care for themselves. And that's the way God created them. And not only that, I've already pointed out certain halachic And if you're just thinking of how you're going to benefit others, and you think that's the way to get the kedusha of Hakadosh Baruch Hu, because everything God does is only for the benefit of His creations. There is no benefit to Hakadosh Baruch Hu. Shebahashkafa Rishona Hayafshar Lomar Shimyagia Adam Lemedregazu Yagia Latachas Ashlemus, and he says that this is what you think it's all about. L'chein Horolanu Chazal B'Medrazeh Shlo Kainhu. Says that's what the next medrash says by Hakadosh Baruch Hu about this. Shein Lanu Hishtadol B'Admus LaKedusha Zabor Yisbrach B'Tzadzeh. He says, wait a second. Remember, I told you there was a medrash where he says, Hakadosh Baruch Hu says, my kedusha is above your kedusha. He says that's what he's saying over there. We are supposed to emulate God. That means we have a kedusha of caring for others. Okay. However, Hakadosh Baruch Hu also says that my kedusha is qualitatively above yours, because my kedusha is totally absent any self-interest. Your kedusha cannot be absent self-interest. Okay? Because that's not the way I created you. Okay? I created you. Okay? Okay? That's going to be something he's going to see. He says, "Shekedusha sabor l'mala midusha seinu," that his kedusha is above ours. Kedusha yisbrachi rak livraim l'lasma yisbrach, because his kedusha is totally for others. He's totally considering others. So nitzosef le'itzosef shum yisron habore al yidei ma'aseh shasavosa, because there's no change in God from what He does. Kol ritzoni yisbarak l'atahit l'nidra. Now he's even taking one step further. It says even beforehand when he talked about you should have an element of caring for others in yourself, still what you do is benefiting yourself. So if you eat with consideration of being healthy, and that means that you'll be a healthy person and being able to be a good citizen in the world, you're still benefiting. Okay? It's not that we are supposed to be totally absent caring for others. Very absent self-interest, because we need self-interest. We have drives that are necessary. Even if we wanted to care for others, it would be actually an aspect of self-interest. Okay? Shaarei Yosher lanu Rabbi Akiva chayecha kodem. And now he's taking it one step further. And I say, and not only that, there's a halachic statement that says your life comes first. Okay? Okay, and that's the famous case. If there's only one amount of, you only have one bottle of water. Okay, two people in the desert. One will be saved with the bottle of water. What do? So Rabbi Akiva says, chayecha kodem, you keep it, you can't share it with the other. Because if you share it, both of you may die. You can keep it, it's chayecha kodem. So you actually have to come first. Okay? Okay, and also he says that's involved in the understanding of Haftarecha Kamocha. He says, and that's why Chazal also understood why when they talked about Haftarecha Kamocha, they turned it around, right? Right, he turned around and says, what you don't want done negatively to yourself, don't do to your friend. It's basically that idea that it's not a positive command to absolutely care for others, because you can't buy everyone a suit. So therefore, in what we do, there's actually a benefit, there's actually a value in taking care of yourself first. So let's understand what he's done here. He said, okay, what's Kedusha? Well, I'm going to throw on Kedusha as something to do with God. And God basically is a total giver. Doesn't do anything for himself. So therefore, when we're told to be Kodesh and understanding of Prisha, what does it mean to be Parashat Machav Mutalach? Don't do anything for your own self-interest totally.
Right. Okay?
So everything you should do should have an element of caring for others. Good. But there still is some self-interest. Okay? You still are benefiting. And that's not like God. And not only that, isn't that what you were created to be from your teva? Isn't that weren't you created like that? To basically have self-interest first. Not only that, aren't there halachas that define self-interest first? Therefore, basically, there is an idea of placing yourself first. But there's an idea of kedusha of considering others. So the question now exists, so how do I balance this? Okay, and that's what he's going to further develop. He's basically saying, and he says, that's why Kodesh Baruch Hu's Kedusha is above our Kedusha. We can't strive for that Kedusha. That's God's Kedusha, totally caring for others. Our Kedusha is to include an element of caring for others in what we do, but there also has to be concern for self. And therefore the issue now is going to develop is how do you balance the concern for self and concern for others. Okay? Okay, and that's where he's going to go from here. Okay? Any questions? The thing that I find interesting is the way he... Okay, so... what I find interesting is the way he's defined this in terms of Kedusha. Okay, when you think in terms of Kedusha, that idea, the fact is this perspective of the greater perspective, that's something where it's an important concept that we think about in terms of broader perspective, in terms of the bigger picture.
So how do we have anything? I mean, we have the Torah, obviously, and the Torah talks about to emulate God and be like God, but also we have that persona. So is it a paradox, the whole thing of us and our kind of selfish needs?
The fact is that it's not a paradox. It's a challenge of how you balance. The fact is there has to be self-interest.
Right.
That's where we're created. There has to be self-interest. Chayecha kodem. You have to take care of yourself first. Let me just point out something to you. Like, for example, I mentioned this many times. You're in Toys R Us. It's applicable to me. Okay. In Toys R Us, and you want to buy a gift for your kids. So you bought a bunch of toys. You stand in line, as you know, to buy $100 worth of toys for your kids. Okay. Right before you're about to check out, someone comes up to you and says, "That $100 you have in your hand. Okay, I need. There's people starving in Africa, right? Rather than buy toys for your kids, give me the money, and we can go keep those people alive."
Those commercials.
So what are you going to do? The kids are going to die. These people need food, and you're buying Barbies for your kids. So what are you going to do?
Sponsor an
I'm assuming female kids. Right. The fact is, what are you doing? So what do you do?
Take another $100 out of your pocket.
So the answer is, you sit there and say, okay, here's $100. Then you take another $100. But as you take out the other $100, he says, listen, there's other kids. Give me the $100. Right. So the fact of the matter is that you've already gone through your wallet. Now, if you start pulling out your credit cards, he'll want that as well because you can take credit cards. The truth of the matter is that the fact is,
budget 10% to.
Yeah. So the point is, but that's a remarkable statement, and the fact that what you're saying is that there is a place, and you can think about this. Why is it that at some point in time it's important for me to buy, or Kodesh Baruch was telling me, buy kids for your toys for your kids, buy toys for your kids, over giving money to someone to other people who may not have food. Yeah, although that's a little bit of wrong, but who may lack things. And the fact is, at some point in time, you have a responsibility to your kids, which is there's like a psychological well-being. You have a responsibility to kids that is beyond responsibility to other people. The fact of the matter is that the life is much more complex than a thing of basically give or whatever. You know, the fact is that, and part of that is the fact that you have a responsibility to yourself as well. Okay? You have to take care of yourself as well. And therefore, he's saying that you were created with a teva of caring for yourself, right? And an aspect of drives for yourself. There's an aspect of caring for others. You're supposed to include drives for others. There's an idea of a Kodesh Baruch Hu sort of saying the idea of Kedusha has something to do with caring for others. But his Kedusha is beyond our Kedusha because we have to take care of ourselves. But that now raises the issue of how do I make the decisions of balancing it out. Okay, in terms of the responsibilities to myself, my family, and then extending it to others. Okay, but the truth is what I think it's an interesting idea that he's raising and so forth. But the thing that I want you to take away with is this is all coming from his thought, right? He didn't go read this somewhere and say, okay, this is a concept. This is a concept that he's developing, and this is what Torah is about in terms of thinking through concepts. Okay? Any other questions?